All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got a very special guest here today. This guy is doing $250 million a year in annual premium production with his agency. So, John Wetmore, welcome to the channel. How's it going?
Tim, it's going amazing, dude. Life is good. Staying
Good,
busy. Glad to be
good to hear.
part of it,
Awesome.
though.
Well, I think with the amount of production you're doing, I mean, to do $250 million a year, you've obviously had to recruit a lot of agents, train a lot of agents. So I think there's a lot of value that you can provide to our audience.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, I kind of want to just start off with how you got into the industry. What's kind of your story? What's your background for those that don't
Yeah.
know you?
Yeah. Short version is I've got in, I've been selling for, I've been in the business actively for 12 years.
Okay.
A little bit more detail, and it always helps give people, I think, perspective. As you know, most people don't make it in this business. They quit, they give up on themselves, whatever. And people hear numbers and they see today and they're like, holy crap, must have been an amazing ride. I'm like, it's been dope. But early on, I was just like everybody else, dude. And I always tell, I applied to be in the business. I hit a mortgage protection ad on Craigslist
Hmm.
in 2008. It took to like August or something, 2008. Took me until March of 2010 to get my license. So a year and a half.
Uh huh.
And then it took me till August of 2012 to sell my first policy. And then I was I was part-time for a year, mediocre at best for probably another year and a half. And my world really turned around in 2015. I decided to kind of go at it a little bit differently, take it a little bit more seriously. And got to a point where instead of selling, 10, 12 apps a month, I started selling I issued like $500,000 on my own pen that year.
Wow.
Recruiting certainly changed. I was recruiting from the beginning, but I was terrible at it and scared everyone away
Right.
and everybody quit. But 2015 was the kind of year where things started to take off. I really started to figure out sales. My background's like warehousing. I was an accountant for about 8 or 10 years after
Mhm.
that. And, just blue collar guy, just trying to figure it out. Terrible at sales, was poor at communication, but had a willingness to learn it. Had some good mentors. People taught me the business and eventually became a student. And this thing has been insane in the last 9 years.
Yeah.
It has definitely changed my world. So,
So it sounds like, I mean, like a lot of people I talk to, you kind of had a slower start into the business, just kind of like easing your way into it, I guess you could say.
yeah, I mean, I was prior to insurance, I was doing accounting work, making 40 grand a year.
Hmm.
So, I made 60 grand part time my first year in insurance, which
Yeah.
sounds dope when you're making 40,
Right.
but it's not really killing it. You know what I mean? You had lead cost, of course. So my net was similar.
Hmm.
First full time year, I cracked 100 grand top line. But
Hmm.
again, lead expenses and other things, I might have netted 70 or 80 or whatever it was. Wasn't,
Right.
again, not terrible, but my world wasn't changing,
Yeah.
so
So I guess like
definitely a slower start.
what flipped that switch for you? Because you got into the business, obviously, you kind of easing your way into
Yeah.
it. You said, 60 part time. What kind of flipped in you that made you just go all out and write,
Yeah.
I think you said 500 grand in that first year and then really start taking recruiting
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah. I was tired, dude. I have 5 kids. Right.
Hmm.
So I was at this time of the transition, I was 37. My youngest was like a few years old, whatever it was, 2, I don't know,
Hmm.
3, maybe. And I had to say no to my kids a lot.
Mm.
And I didn't like that. My wife was making more money than me. She was kind of the provider. She was helping out with hell kids that weren't hers because I have kids from previous marriage.
Hmm.
And I felt like I was working a lot. I was working the phones. I was buying leads, but I felt busy. But we're still just getting by. You know what I
Mm.
mean? If it was like if a chargeback hit the same week I wanted to take a vacation,
No
and it
big
happened
deal.
to be the same week the car payment was due,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That week hurt, and
Yeah.
I hated that, man. Um, So we had some financial stuff come up in my life, and being an accountant. And I don't know if that's the excuse because a lot of agents do this. You deal with agents all the time. You see how analytical they are and how
Hmm.
much they want to research everything before they move, and they want to be great at everything before. You know what I mean? Like they want to understand everything before they do anything. I
Yeah.
was that guy too.
I know a guy
Uh,
who he won't buy leads or generate leads or make calls because he's so scared of getting like a TCPA violation.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. And where now my mindset is like, dude, obviously, if it was that big a deal, all these lead companies and insurance companies, they deal with it legally.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like but I understand because I was that dude.
Mhm.
And I wrote a book, which I just dropped a book last week, and
Yeah.
it's the concept. So if you can read the title, it's
Yep.
do more
Yep.
now, get
I was
better later.
reading that as you were making the point. I was like,
Yeah.
this guy's
So it's
consistent.
literally the point. The book is the point,
Yeah.
right? So I had to make a conscious decision to stop worrying so much about trying to get better at every little detail
Right.
because I wanted to do what was best for the clients. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
I had to go like, dude, I'm actually not helping as many clients as I could because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I had to make this conscious decision to go out and I remember it clear as day. I had a new bill that hit my life. It was $1,000 a month and I was pissed about it. And it was for my kids. You know what I mean? So then I kind of got mad that I was mad over
Hmm.
$1,000. And
Right.
a mentor of mine, he goes, "Hey bro, can I ask you a question?" Because I was losing my mind in the
Hmm.
office one day. And he goes, "Are you really pissed? With all due respect, are you really pissed over what you could generate in one application a month?" And I was like, I just never looked at it so simply.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because I can make $1,000 on an app, on a life app for sure. You know? And I was like, damn. So I kind of just went home and thought about life, man. And I'm like, I knew my numbers kind of like where I was at. I knew how many appointments I was running a week. I knew what kind of money I was making. Again, if I netted 70 grand and I'm running, bro, like 8 appointments a week, it was pathetic.
Right.
So I did some math and I'm like, on average, I'm making like $200, $250 an appointment.
Hmm.
Average,
Yeah.
right? Which factors in chargebacks, cancels, it factors in everything.
Yeah.
I did the appointments, I made the money. All the shit in the middle that we all hate was accounted for. And I was like, $250 an appointment, huh? And I went, what if I just go run 1,000 appointments this year? What if I just do a bunch more of it and worry about getting better later? What if I just say, F it? Let me just go at this year different
Mm.
and just go see 1,000 people at
Mhm.
$250 average. Even if I suck, won't the just basic math equal 250 grand?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see what the hell happens. And so I set up my schedule to figure out to do that. I had to schedule 120 appointments a month,
Hmm.
which is 1,500 for the year. I was going to get no showed up to 500 times, see 1,000
Right.
people,
Yeah. Of
close
course.
250 of them. That was my plan. And dude, I didn't really account for momentum, and I didn't really account for how quick I would get really good because you
Yep.
start seeing the same stuff over and over again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I issued 468 grand that year, dude. And
Damn. Overshot the 250. That's for sure.
yeah, I said I just messed up and almost made double.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And dude, that was it. And so I was like, holy smokes. And it just changed the way I started recruiting in the sense that I just started trying to find people that were willing to go to work and wanted to get out of a situation like I did.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're willing to do simple steps.
Hmm.
Should you train? Yes. Should you learn stuff? Yes. Should you know your product? Yes. The problem I have is when people want to know it before they do the work.
Right.
It's like my youngest son, Maddox, is now 12. He plays baseball.
Hmm.
And imagine him wanting to know how to throw a curveball before he pitches
Yeah.
or how to hit a slider before he takes a swing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm like, and that's what a lot of people do in a lot of industries, especially ours. And I just thank God I had a buddy who just gave me a little different insight on it. And I just did a basic math, man. And I was like, what if I just make this a math problem and forget all the emotional stuff?
Hmm.
And it worked out. And the concepts which I can run through in the book. I just been teaching that, man, for now. That's been 9 years ago that decision happened,
Hmm.
and we've blown up, dude. On one really simple concept: just go do more now, and you'll get better later. And not only is it an active choice to choose to worry about getting better later, but it's like predetermined. It will happen
Yeah.
if you
Exactly.
do more now than if I do more work than you now. And especially I'm getting coached and guided along the way and doing everything I got to do.
Yep.
I will get better faster than you.
Oh, 100%. Have you heard the story about the clay pots? It's a
Mm-mm.
story Alex Hormozy tells.
Oh, tell me, mate. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
this one
yeah.
offhand, but
So
I
it's
like
like
him. So
there's
maybe when
this
you say it.
there's this college class, right? And there's a professor, and he splits his
Ooh,
class into like two different groups, right?
I have heard
You
this.
might
I
know where I'm
can't
going
tell
with
it, but I've heard it.
it.
Go.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
Splits his class into two groups. One class is told their assignment for the semester, quarter, whatever. I don't know. I didn't go to college. Is
Okay.
to make the most perfect clay pot that
Yep.
they possibly can, right? And the
Yep.
other one is just make as many damn clay pots as possible.
Yep.
And at the end of the quarter, the class that just made as many pots as possible had way like their one pot from their as many pots as possible was
Yeah.
better than the one pot that this other
Correct.
group had made. So
Yeah.
like the volume just negates luck. Like you just have to
Correct.
do the work. It's it's annoying to get that answer when you're an agent or when
It is.
you're doing anything and people are just like you just have to work more and just let it
Yeah.
figure out. But it's the truth. It really
Yeah.
is.
And I think we know it in other examples. That's why I give examples like Maddox. I'll certainly remember the clay pot thing going forward. You know what I mean? It's like if you give examples in any other area, again, I always do dumb stuff. And I'm like, if you're are you right handed?
Yeah, but not
Okay.
for badminton, tennis, and ping pong for some
How
reason.
about dribbling a basketball?
Yeah, right-handed for sure.
All right, cool. So if I said, if you want to learn how to dribble a basketball left handed,
Hmm.
as good as equally as you can with your right hand, would the best way to be to watch a bunch of YouTubes on how Steph Curry does it? Or would
Yeah,
it to be to just dribble a basketball every day?
yeah, of course, of
You
course.
know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not that deep.
yeah,
And people know that, right? But the emotions we trick ourselves into thinking things, and then our emotions help us validate the dumb stuff we think.
hmm,
You know what I mean? And I'm like, again, thank God for mentors. If you allow yourself to train yourself on thought process, you are the one struggling. You're
yeah.
probably the worst person to listen to is yourself.
Right. Yeah,
You
that's
know?
a fair point.
And I just had to learn, man, a lot of the things that were causing me failure, um, it was me losing to myself. You know what I mean? Like I was losing to my own self-talk and
Yeah,
my own thought process and my own disbelief in myself. And when I realized I was losing to me, dude, I was like if you put up a good fight and I lose, how I can't be too mad.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But like to lose to myself, I was like demoralizing, man. And so
yeah.
I decided to change, bro. And that was it. You know, I always ask people this question. I have a sign that hangs on my wall in my office, just right around the corner. And it says, "Do you hate to lose so much you're willing to change, or do you hate change so much you're willing to lose?"
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
No.
That's
So
really good. So you obviously started producing more.
yeah.
I mean, how? So for someone that's in that situation where maybe they're kind of like half in, half out, I
Yeah.
talk to a lot of people that are still working another job and they
Yeah.
want to go at this full time, and it's like finding that like finding the time to do this enough so that it replaces the income from the other thing.
Yeah.
How did you figure out how much activity to do, and then how did you just like commit to it and stick
Yeah.
to it? Because it
Yeah.
sounds simple, like just doing it, but so many people seem to struggle with that.
Yeah, I think the most, and again, I've worked with thousands and thousands of agents at this point. I think the biggest mistake people make in that transition is they have the insurance money go into the same bank account as all their other money goes into. Does
Hmm. Yep.
that make sense? So if they make $412 this week, it just goes into their bank account. They just go eat Mexican 2 more times this week and don't notice it.
Right.
So what I did is I set up a separate account. So every deposit from insurance went in a side account.
Mm.
And the only thing that came out of it was lead money.
Right.
And my goal was to save up 6 months worth of income and continue living like we're living. Like I was already living broke. I didn't need the money to help pay bills. And trust me, I had plenty.
Hmm.
I've been bankrupt. I've had foreclosure. I've had car repoed. I've had all kinds of shit in my life.
Hmm.
So I definitely had debt coming into this. And my goal wasn't to just be able to pay a few more bills every week. My goal was to get out of the job. Right. So I said, what if I save 6 months worth of income? So 20 grand.
Hmm.
And I did that just in my head. I was like, that'll be a safety net so I can go 6 months without making a sale and I can still pay my bills.
That's really good. I've never heard somebody say that. I've heard the separate bank account thing, but I've never
Yeah.
heard saving 6 months so that you can make the transition.
That's what worked for me. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way I can go 6 months without making a sale. There's
Yeah.
no way. So just the level of comfort going in, making that transition to me, again, very analytical dude at the time.
Right.
If I am who I am today, I don't need 6 months, bro. You know what I mean? But at the time I did. That was my comfort level, 12 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I saved up 30 and I quit and went full time. And I think probably the other mistake I see people make is if they're making $5,000, they try to figure out how to make $5,000 in this part-time before they quit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you're doing 40 hours over here making $5,000,
Yeah.
and you're doing 10 hours over here making $1,200, isn't that the same hourly rate?
Yeah. Exactly.
Does that make sense?
No,
so
100%.
I only got to do 25% on the part-time side in my head to equal the same hourly wage. So I think some people try to build up too much part-time.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do sometimes, man, when you got life going on and family and schedules and weekends and all the stuff. It's like to add this, every time I deal with recruiting people, when they don't have the money and they're trying to transition into this, I certainly figure out where they're at financially and where they're trying to go. But one of the questions I have to ask them is like, have you and your family discussed what things you're going to give up in order to add this? Because it's going to take significantly more time out of your life doing both. It's not going to be easier.
Yeah.
It's going to be significantly harder. So have you decided what things you're now going to skip? Are you skipping soccer? Are you skipping church? Are you skipping, youth group, dinner on? What are you skipping to add this?
Yeah.
And that's where people miss, dude. So when I was part-time for the year, I had a schedule that was, I still know it to this day. Everyone in my world knows it still to this day. I dialed every Sunday after church between 2 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
We'd go to church, 11 o'clock. We'd get home. We'd do grocery. On the way home, we'd do groceries, cook lunch, things like that, whatever. I'd be on the phones by 2, and I'd dial till 6, and I would book up Monday and Tuesday nights. This was and be clear, my day is like direct mail in-home sales.
Right.
You mean this is 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So
before the telesales push.
Yeah. Take the concept and apply it. You know what I mean? Like you can make the same thing work today.
Yeah. Of course.
But I'm just being transparent about what I did. So Sundays 2 to 6, and I booked appointments for Monday and Tuesday after work. And then Thursday and Friday during my lunch break at work, I would get on the phones and I would book Saturdays from like 8 to 2-ish. I'd run like a half day on Saturday, 5, 6, 7 appointments. And so I'd get, and I just did that every single week. That was my schedule. I didn't miss.
Yeah.
So whatever my family had going on between 2 and 6 on Sundays, I didn't participate. Mm-hmm. Whatever they had going on Saturdays and Monday and Tuesday nights, I didn't participate. And that was a family decision.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to figure out again where you're at and are y'all willing to sacrifice for a little while to get out of your current situation.
That's the thing too, is like it's a temporary sacrifice. It's not like you have to do it forever.
Yeah,
like you can either sacrifice a little bit now or you can forever have money problems.
Yeah. It's no different than if someone wants to like go to night school to get a master's degree. Like you have to sacrifice some stuff.
Yeah.
Like buckle up.
Yeah.
100%.
So you went from obviously, it sounds like, to kind of summarize that, it was really just like making a schedule, blocking out the time, and then just being disciplined enough to stick with it. Like it's literally just that simple.
Yeah. I mean, when I went into the 2015 to do the 120 appointments a month, again, field sales, dude. Yeah. I'm telesales, bro. I'm cranking more than that today.
Yeah.
I want to do big numbers. You know? But I built like a calendar, and I have trainings on this stuff. And if anybody follows my shit, I give it out. But I basically take a calendar for the month. And what I did is I built my ideal schedule. So I put in the things first that I don't want to move, ideally. And all that revolved around my kids. I had 4 kids from a previous marriage. So I would get them one night for dinner and every other weekend. Mm-hmm. So in my calendar, Thursday nights were off, right? Then every other weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I didn't want to work because I had the kids.
Right.
And then every Sunday, I didn't want to work. That was the preference when I was full-time, right? So that left Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week. I was wide open. Thursday mornings, because I would get my kids from school at 3 for dinner.
Right.
And then every other weekend. And so I was like, I chose, so on Mondays I would make phone calls. I would run appointments Tuesday, Wednesday every week. So Tuesday, Wednesday every week, that's 8 days a month. Mm-hmm. I do every other Friday. And then of the 2 Saturdays I was off, I chose to work one and one to stay home with my wife and my youngest Maddox. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, every other Friday, 1 Saturday a month I was in the field. It's 11 days a month.
Yeah.
120 appointments. I just had to book 11 appointments each day, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I ran that to a T. My family knew it. My wife knew it. The schedule hung on our fridge. And, you know what I mean? If I didn't do what it took to book the appointments for the numbers to work out in my favor, I knew I was then going to have to sacrifice when my kids were around for the weekend. I wouldn't be able to do those things. So that held me accountable,
Yeah.
you know, and certainly during holidays, I could just shift it a little bit, move things around, whatever. But that was a
Yeah.
general basis is just narrowing down a schedule and, you know, getting the family to understand what we're trying to accomplish.
100%. So how did you go from that to obviously where you are today, $250 million agency?
Man,
What
yeah,
does the transition look like? What
yeah. It
personal
wasn't really a
producer
transition as much as it was
and
simultaneous.
yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? I was, for perspective, I was recruiting when I was driving to my accounting job full time. When I was doing this part time.
Yeah.
So I would run Craigslist ads at the time. Again, that's where I applied. So I was like, hell, let me run ads there. So
Yeah.
I stole the ad I applied to, and I just ran the same ad.
Uh-huh.
And I'd be commuting. I had like an hour and a half commute to my accounting job,
Hmm.
and so I'd be doing recruiting calls on the interstate, driving to and from my accounting job. And my first 2 years, dude, I did like 700 interviews myself. And at the end of 2014, I still only had one active agent, and his name was John Wetmore.
Oh no.
Yeah, buddy. So, and I had a few start, you know what I mean? A couple get
Yeah.
started, sell a couple policies and quit. And,
Yeah. Were these
you know,
neophytes or like already licensed agents?
mostly unlicensed for sure.
Hmm.
You know, when you run ads, it tends to be mostly unlicensed. Certainly, every once in a blue moon, I'd come across someone licensed. I would hit up LinkedIn, and I thought licensed agents was going to be the magic to it all, and that definitely turned out to not be true.
Yeah.
So I just kept at it, man. I had to get good at it. I had to learn it. Man, I didn't realize how different everybody thought. I thought everybody would want out of life what I wanted out of life,
Yeah.
and I would kind of like I wanted to hire me.
Yep.
That was probably the biggest mistake I made is I was always looking to hire more of me.
Mm.
And then I realized, man, if everyone was what I wanted them to be, what on earth would they need me for? You know what I mean? So I learned to value the things that frustrate most people trying to build.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if they were perfect, what do they need my help for?
Right.
Like I had the drive on my own. I had the willingness to do things on my own. I didn't need, now I had mentors,
Yeah.
but for me to get out of bed and work, I didn't need that.
Right.
So if that's all, and I always say this, dude, if it's a weird analogy, but it works. Like if me and you were going to go open Chick-fil-A franchises all across the country,
Hmm.
and the only people we wanted to hire to work in them were other people who wanted to run Chick-fil-A franchises.
Yeah.
How well would that
They would
model work?
quit pretty quickly.
Yeah, it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I had to learn that I was the problem, and I had to learn how to be dynamic with different personality types and people with different desires and people who learn different, people who have different thought process. I had to change
Yeah.
and learn how to work with more people. So I started studying leadership. Big John Maxwell fan, big John Gordon fan. I just started following and reading about these guys that are really good at it.
Hmm.
And 5 Levels of Leadership taught me a ton. It's one of my favorite books ever from Maxwell.
Yep.
And man, so I just started really finding out more about people that I was talking to, finding out where they were at in life, where they wanted to go, and then that middle, what they were willing to sacrifice. And dude, some people I found out only want to make 70 grand a year and don't want to sacrifice much.
Yeah.
Who am I to be mad?
Yeah. Well, as long as they
You
can
know what
make
I mean?
70 grand a year working from home and being with the kids,
Yeah, doing whatever they want,
that's a
right?
good
So
life, honestly. It really is.
correct. It's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody had to want to make $500,000. And so my kind of mantra became, let me be the dude that helps people get paid. Whereas at the beginning, man, I was trying to push people so I could get paid because I wanted the overrides.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I started making money on my own pen, I was like, dude, I actually don't need agents to make a bunch of money. I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
But I really want to help people feel what this feels like to make this kind of money for their family.
Hmm.
And so I just started really diving in, man. It's like sales. So I started to make a lot of sales. You really just have to solve problems. Fair?
Yeah.
To solve problems, you got to be able to identify problems. And to identify problems, you got to be really good at asking questions.
Yeah.
And to even get the opportunity to ask questions, you got to get people to like and trust you.
Hmm.
Does it make sense? So I started doing the same thing on the recruiting side.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I get these people to like and trust me and build a relationship with them and ask questions so I can identify their situation and guide them, be the guide towards what they were trying to achieve, you know? And then I
Yeah.
had to have some level of boundaries too, in the sense that if they didn't want to work a ton, you know what I mean? They wanted low activity. They wanted to limp in on lead spend. They didn't want to spend a bunch of money. All good.
Yeah.
But I just had to set the right expectations for people and let them know it was probably going to be inconsistent and relatively suck for the rest of time. Right? Because you don't get paid every week the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're inconsistent with your activity, dude, your income is like,
Yeah. It's
ah,
all over the place.
and that doesn't change.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have low activity, cool, high five. I just had a no complaining rule because I'm telling you up front, it's going to be inconsistent and suck.
Yeah.
You can make good money part-time. You can make great money,
Yeah.
but I don't know if every week it's going to hit the way you want it to hit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I started being really transparent about what the business was, the hard work it took, who I am as a person, what changed for me, that it was hard work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And can I sell? Yes. Can I teach you sales stuff? Yes. But dude, if you're seeing 4 people a week, none of that matters.
Right.
You know what I
So
mean?
for you to get from, because obviously, going and doing like cold calling people or doing the Craigslist ads, all that stuff, that that's obviously good to get your first few recruits. But what did it look like for you to get to like the next level, right?
Bro.
Because
Yeah.
you're like, I'm imagining you're not training every single agent individually, right?
I sure as was then. I am now. I'm not
Yeah.
now. Not today.
Okay.
By any
Okay.
means. But
But
then, oh,
is it
dude,
like you recruited people that were then leaders that then that's when the growth
I
was like
wish.
fucking
Yeah, that's
exponential?
what I thought was going to happen. It did
Okay.
eventually
That's
happen.
not what happened?
They were not leaders from the beginning. No.
Okay.
I didn't just hire someone. They're like, I want to be a leader and I'm going to
Yeah.
kill it. Here you go. And I'm taking all the, no, that ain't how it worked, dude.
Yeah.
I
So,
got
like
to about,
most of them are
I got,
direct to you, or what is like that kind
yeah.
of
So
yeah.
I got to about 50 people direct to me,
Mm-hmm.
by 2017. I was
Got
doing
it.
about $500,000 a month in premium.
Yep.
That's when I hired my first staff. And I always tell people this, man. At that time, let's call it 50. We'll round up, say it was probably 50. You know, it varied month to month, but call it
Mm-hmm.
50.
Mm-hmm. 50 agents.
Yep, direct to me
Yeah.
for the most part. I had 12 people at that time that were quote unquote leaders that were doing some form or fashion of recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest group I had when I was doing $500,000 was one girl. She had like 4 agents. They were doing like 60 grand a month. So most of it was still direct to me. It was
Yeah.
mostly just, this one has 1 agent, this one has 2, this one, you know what I mean? It was very little.
Yeah.
And I'll fast forward a little bit and then I'll come back. When we got to a point where we were doing like 2 million plus a month, 2.5 million a month, which was the end of 2019, 9 of those 12 managers were still with me. Not one of them had grown any since 2017. They helped me get to a certain point, right? But then what I learned, I did 2 things really well. I was very cold market hiring, ads, all ads, or cold
Yeah.
DMs, things like this. Everything I hired.
Yeah.
I never really hired a warm market buddy that killed it.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would, to me, every agent I hired was a recruiter for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a weird, sleazy, you got to build a big agency kind of way. I just know they know people.
Right.
So I would just always simply ask, like, hey, Tim, obviously I'm going to help you get started in the business. My goal is to help you said you want to make a couple $100,000 a year. That's my goal. My assumption is you know other people in your circle that are looking for opportunity too. First question, do you want to sell life insurance for the rest of time until you die, or do you have interest in one day building an agency? And people would answer. You know what I mean? Most would go like, yeah, one day, but I want to learn it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, cool. Well, I can teach you that eventually. In the meantime, it's actually the prime time to hire now because nobody expects you to know shit because you're new. So who else in your world do you know that's also looking for an opportunity that while I train you, I can train them also? And I would just always ask, dude. Every person I've recruited, I would just always ask, who do they know? Who do they know? I'm looking to hire.
Yeah.
If you're looking to build, cool, I'll teach you how to do it. If you're not, I ain't mad either, but I'm looking to grow. Who do you know?
Did you
And I
give
would
them like
always
an
ask.
incentive for bringing you somebody, or just asking?
Yeah, so I would certainly, my pitch to them was every time they make a sale, you'll make a few bucks.
Yeah.
And I would leave it at that. Granted, if they ask questions, I'd explain it.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But I wasn't trying to get too deep, dude. I was trying to keep it really simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they did refer someone over, I would certainly explain it deeper, and then I would give them the option. You
Mm-hmm.
can either take them direct now, or I can take them direct until you're ready, and then I'll move them when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Just depending on what they want. Some people had the
Yeah.
fear; they didn't want to
Yeah.
deal with the risk and the over. You know what I mean? They didn't want to deal with the stuff.
Yeah.
So I always gave them the choice.
Okay.
You know, and if it was someone I had to help financially in some way, certainly I would put them to me direct, so they didn't have to spend the money. And
Right.
then as soon as they were self sufficient, I'd move them back.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of things. It was very case by case.
Yeah.
But that's what led me to more people. And then I would do the same thing with clients. If I'm sitting with you, Tim, the client, I'm like, hey, Tim, great meeting you today. Hey, man, my company is actually hiring. I'm looking for more people. Do you happen to know anybody else that could do what I just did for you? And I would ask that every appointment,
Yeah.
which every once in a while, someone would be like, can I do it? My cousin, my sister,
Yeah. Yeah.
whoever. But where the magic happened is I taught all the agents to do the same thing.
Mm.
So then when I got 50 agents,
They're all
asking 10, 15 clients a week. We're now asking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients a week.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And between that and who do you know, they bring on a client. I'm like, hey, who do you know? They bring on a cousin. Hey, who do you know? And it was always just who do you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then from that, fast forward, the people I hired direct, I was taught to treat everyone like they're direct to me.
Okay.
So the guy who mentored me, I was not direct to. I was 4 levels deep from the guy. But he poured everything into me because he saw something in me that he didn't see in others.
Mm-hmm.
So as the agency grew and, you hired your cousin, dude, I'm working one-on-one with your cousin like I hired him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And from that, I found other people in depth. And those are the people that stepped up and became the eventual real leaders.
Mm.
The guys that really built the agency with me. It
Yeah.
was 100% of them were people in depth.
Interesting.
From just going, who do you know? I taught them how to run ads, ask who you know, and ask clients.
Mm-hmm.
That was the model. And we just did it so many times because it was so simple.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
it grows
mean?
on its own too. You don't have to spend any money for somebody to recruit
Correct.
somebody. Yeah.
Correct. Especially if you don't do the ad spend side. You know what I mean? Because anyone that wanted to build an agency, I'm in to help them.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. And for me, it was ask whoever your people are, ask
Mm-hmm.
clients, and I would have people DM. I used to send like 100 DMs on LinkedIn a day.
Wow.
Hey, Tim, see you're in the business. I issued 460 grand last year. Are you happy with where you're at financially? If not, if you're open to a conversation, let me know. I
Mm-hmm.
would send 100 a day, dude. And that led to a lot of volume that's still here today. It was,
Yeah.
again, most no's, you know what I mean? Mostly no, but it worked. And then again, teach everybody to do the same thing. So when someone said they wanted to build, I was like, cool. Step 1 to building. Ask all your clients, ask people in your circle if they are interested in a conversation with me. If you're not comfortable doing it, if you're comfortable doing it, do it yourself. I don't care, but
Mm-hmm.
put them on me and then send DMs because they're all free. And if you won't do the free stuff, you sure as shit ain't gonna do the paid stuff.
Yeah. No, of
So it was
course.
kind of a test for me to see if they were willing to put in the work before I started teaching them too much about the agency side and the building and all the technical details that do go into it with time.
Yeah. So at this point, is your agency still like super wide with a bunch of people direct to you, or is it more deep?
Way more deep.
Way more.
Way more deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably have, last report I looked at, we had like, I think 21 direct to me.
Mm-hmm.
But a majority of it's under like 4 legs.
Okay.
So it's, and as you get bigger, you can start to maneuver things. And you know what I mean? If I'm spending a lot of time with a small group and I'm trying to do bigger things and I just don't have the energy, but you're good at leading and you know what I mean? Like, and again, as you get out of the field, bro, I don't even know where the applications are anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I don't know today. So as you grow, certainly there was like, hey, Tim, can you take these few guys? I'm going to move them direct to you. I'm just crazy busy. I just don't have the energy or time to mess with them.
Yeah.
And I started to just maneuver stuff around to the right people that were doing the right things on their own.
Yeah.
And consolidating it. So,
Awesome.
it's, yeah.
That's super valuable, man. I appreciate you sharing that. That's for all the people out there that are like looking at the agency, like at least building one. It sounds like really just getting started, talking to the people, and then really just asking for referrals sounds like is your
It's
main thing
all,
building.
it's all duplication.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know some buddies that went out and they would literally target other companies, captive companies, and go after their top guys and recruit them, like straight up recruit them, like
Yeah.
recruiting like colleges recruit.
Yeah.
Like I'm going after Tim.
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't, not that that's not right.
Yeah.
I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I know
Just
some
go with
guys
your
that
own,
built some massive agencies doing real recruit. Again,
like
I
headhunting.
don't call what I did recruiting. I was interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Again, we use that term in the industry, but
Yeah.
what you said, headhunting is a different game where
Right.
you can go after people, and that can give waves of volume.
Yeah.
You get one guy that's running things, you can move some volume over.
Yeah.
And certainly that happens today where people reach out, want to work with me. That certainly is a thing with time. But I wasn't really that good at that, dude. I don't know. I didn't want my thing, and I don't know. I
You
wasn't
gotta
in
burn some
sales.
bridges too in the industry when you do that.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I was just like, I'm just going to do it this way. And again, I want it duplicatable, man. If I get lucky and I bring you over and you're at whatever captive company and you have a team of 40 agents, I can teach what I did, but dude, the chances of my group being able to do that at scale are like zero.
Yeah.
And so everything I do, man, I want it to be very simple and very duplicatable.
Mm-hmm.
You throw away you throw away technology today, instant decision, e-apps, auto texting, AI, you throw all that stuff out the window. But I can build this bitch from the ground up starting today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the same method.
Fundamental. Yeah. Awesome. Well, so for somebody watching this, that maybe wants to build an agency, what would be like your biggest piece of advice for that person?
Help people get paid, man. I think it's certainly a lot easier to teach something you do. It
Mm-hmm.
does frustrate me watching, and there's a balance. Again, I was recruiting before I quote unquote knew what I should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I was referring a lot of people to my mentor to be trained.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're early in it, you should have someone that you're working with that you're kind of letting do some of the heavy lifting and the training and the teaching. You know what I mean? Like if you ain't made a bunch of money, don't
Yeah.
try to teach people how to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I see that far too often.
Yeah.
So I relied on people in my corner to help with that piece at first. But at the end of the day, man, it's talking to people every day about what you do. And we do that in every business. I mean, if you run a pizza shop, when you want more dudes to come in and cook pizza so you don't have to cook it all the time,
Of course.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's just basic business building.
Yeah.
So it's just getting started, and I think in today's world, if you're not doing stuff on social media, you're crazy. It's
Yeah.
easy. You can certainly post a video a day about anything that any client or any potential recruit asks, even if you don't know what you're doing. Get on an interview and see the 27 questions the first potential recruit asks you,
Mm-hmm.
because they will grill you with questions because you won't know how to do an interview properly.
Right.
You know what I mean? You'll spend an hour and a half answering them all, and then they'll be like, nah, I'm good. But
Yeah.
take those 27 questions and make a 30-second or a minute video about each one of them. That's your content for a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got clients. And you see 5 clients today, you'll have 30 questions from those clients. Take those questions, make content. You know what I mean? And you start building a personal brand. And we have a ton of stuff on social now. You know what I mean? I didn't early because I didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just getting started, man. And again, keep it simple. Help people get paid. And when you help people get paid and hit their goals, people stay. You know what I mean? And you have to get in there and teach people stuff, man. I had to teach people how to manage money and reinvest in leads and when and timing it, when to pay certain bills and how to you know what I mean? Like you got to
Yeah.
teach stuff, man. And if you ain't been through it, it's just hard to teach.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's nothing an agent goes through today that I haven't been through
Right.
personally.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to relate and know what they're going through and know what it feels like and know what, you know what I mean? Like when your wife's looking at your bank account and you're like, I need $1,200 for leads, and to know what her feeling, I know that feeling. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I always tell people like you should sell for at least 6 to 12 months before trying to build a team.
Agreed. At a minimum.
Yeah.
Unless if you got a bunch of money, you should do it for 6 to 12 months. If you're broke, it's really easy to build a team when you figure out how to get rich selling insurance.
Right.
Honestly, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, John, I appreciate your time. For people that are watching this that want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yes, sir. All my stuff is on my website, johnwetmore.com. It's really simple. If you're not looking at it spelled on the screen, it's JOHNWETMORE.com. The book is on there. I dive into it. You can get it on Amazon or the website. And I'm on Instagram all the time. It's just at John Wetmore, and certainly Facebook. Those are the two I'm on.
Awesome.
Every day. And I get all kinds of free. You can register for a newsletter, get free content, free trainings. I do free Zoom like masterminds once a month, in person training in my office once a month, all kinds of cool stuff we put out. So,
Nice. And what's the name of the book? What can they find on Amazon?
yeah. So do more now, get better later. You
Do
can
more
actually just go
now.
to domorenow.getbetterlater.com, johnwetmore.com, or Google me on Amazon. It's out there. It's
Awesome.
cheap. It's $12. So, and it just goes
$12.
through do more as a principle. It stands for certain things. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up. It's actually more than just go work more. It actually means stuff. So, like in the do more, the D is discipline, O is for ownership, M is for mistakes, the second O is for obsession, the R is resilience, and the E is expectations. And I break down what each one of them means, why it's important. You know what I mean? And certainly I wrap in my story and the journey of this thing and all the mistakes I've made to try to help people um, get through it quicker than I did. So it is at the beginning doing more, but the doing more is deeper than that. And those 6 principles are the things I've taught over the years to really build it that I think are the key to someone building
I love it.
whatever they want out of this. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the concept. I love the message of the book too. Something
yeah,
that a lot of agents need to hear. That's for sure.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gents, if you guys got value from this video, leave a like, hit the subscribe button down below. You guys can check John out on the platforms that he said. And then I think he also has a pretty big YouTube channel as well. You can check him
Yeah,
out there. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.
there you go.